You
I'm
may
sorry,
be.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
Can you pull your chair up?
My chair up?
Yeah, it's way down.
Oh.
Yeah,
Better?
yeah. Yeah, no, you guys are good.
No, well, I'm sure.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, guys, sorry.
All right, continue.
Hold on, and then, yeah.
And ways to better serve your customers and those that you work with. My name is Sam Smith. I'm the head of growth operations
darkness,
here
my
at
old
Ray, and I'm your host. Today,
I've come to talk with you again.
All right, guys. So today we're going to talk about Facebook advertising and hopefully reduce a lot of the noise and the confusion or maybe a little bit of plateauing that you're experiencing running your Facebook ads so that we can really kind of help you focus on generating better qualified leads. The Facebook ad platform is booming right now. There are 5 million businesses that advertise on Facebook every single month. In fact, in just 7 months from September of 2016 to April of 2017, a million advertisers were added on a monthly basis to the platform, which is incredible. What does it tell us? It tells us that obviously Facebook advertising works. It's a great way to really target your audience and really get granular. The targeting features on Facebook are incredible, which we'll go into a little bit more detail here. But it also tells us that the way that you use the Facebook ad platform is critical. You need to be super laser focused in order to get the most out of your ad spend and to be efficient and be successful. So that's what we really want to talk about today. We want to really help our viewers and help our listeners to better understand how to use Facebook ads to accomplish the marketing initiatives that you're currently after. So, Mikhail, what are things that companies need to consider when they're thinking about advertising on Facebook?
Well, there's 3 things I think that companies should be focused on. The first one being the saturation of content, right? So taking a stock photo of a dentist or taking a stock photo of a house or something like that or whatever industry you might be,
Not going to cut it.
It's not going to cut it because there's, like you said, there's a million people that literally a million people that just started advertising in the last year. So your content really needs to stand out first of all when you're doing that. And that, if you figure like this, if you have 3 or 4 different companies that are using the exact same budget and the same targeting, which one's going to win? The one with the better creative, right? Sure. The second thing I would say is video transcriptions. What I've seen a lot of recently is there's a lot of video ads that are going out, which, by the way, are indexed way better through Facebook, so think about doing that. But sound doesn't play automatically when somebody's scrolling through their feed, right? So having big text showing like the point of it or creating a meme out of it will definitely help get somebody to stop and tell your story and get your point across very quickly.
That's interesting. Actually, over 80% of videos on Facebook are viewed without sound.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah,
so you got to have that text overlay or something.
Sure.
Lastly is targeting. A big mistake I see advertisers make on Facebook is they'll take one ad, and let's say it's a real estate development, right, in Colorado.
Okay.
They'll take one ad, and instead of doing like home buying, real estate investments, that type of thing, they'll also put in like skiing, snowboarding, rock climbing, things like that. Other interests that somebody in the area that might have. Now that's half of it. That's That's great thinking. It's like we want to target those people. But imagine if somebody gets your ad and they're just interested in rock climbing, but not at all interested in a house. You're wasting a view. You're wasting a click, potentially.
Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting. That makes a lot of sense. So Patrick, I mean, how does Facebook allow advertisers to optimize their campaigns for specific goals, specific outcomes that they're looking to achieve?
Well, Facebook, they give you specific options. They give you basically 3 different levels of options. So when you're in the campaign level of your design or build out of your campaign, you want to choose the objective that is the primary goal you're trying to achieve. You know, in any marketing funnel, there's going to be 3 stages. You know, whatever it's worded as, the principles are the same: awareness, consideration, and conversion.
Buyer's journey.
Buyer's journey. Exactly. It's exactly the best way to put it. You know, lucky for us, Facebook has given us these topics that way we can optimize for those specific goals.
Okay.
For where that person is in their journey.
Gotcha.
You know, so a good place to start outside of the boosted posts, of course, is the objective of traffic, which is basically clicks to your site. Now, what this means, you know, is that Facebook is looking for profiles that are most likely to take the action of clicking on your ad and moving to the next step in that journey.
So they actually optimize and send ads to users that are more likely to take the action that you're actually looking to achieve.
Correct.
Correct. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've actually found a lot of success with this objective, and in my opinion, it will give you some of the most valuable data when you do run campaigns like this. So what I mean is that you'll actually be able to see things like how relevant your ad is, how well your target audience is, and how well you're reaching that audience, as well as, you know, how well you're converting on your landing page. So those 3 things you can test and you can optimize, and by using a clicks to site type of campaign or a traffic type of campaign objective, you'll get better metrics than you would as opposed to trying for, you know, post engagements or conversions. So I always recommend that's a good place to start, and then you can optimize and tweak your campaigns from there.
Gotcha. Okay, so advertisers that are on Facebook, they really need to sort of have these things worked out as to what their ad, who their ad is speaking to, and at what place that ad, that buyer is in the journey, the buyer's journey, the decision-making process, and they need to understand that. They need to have done sort of that legwork at the beginning.
Of course.
Instead of just going in, rolling, and creating a Facebook ad campaign. They really kind of need to do the minor work so that they can understand where they're targeting.
Sure, yeah. If you don't know who you're talking to, or if you're optimizing for the wrong thing, you're going to get really skewed and biased results, and your campaign is not going to perform the way you hoped it would. And that's where a lot of advertisers or people really get discouraged, and they think, you know, Facebook ads aren't working. It's not. I don't know why people think this is the best way to do it. It's a very cheap traffic source if you do it right. But again, coming back to that legwork and what Mikhail was talking about with the right type of target audience, it all plays in together. And once you have that set, you can run a very successful campaign.
That's some great insight. Patrick. Don't get discouraged, guys. If your ad campaigns are not working the way you want them to on Facebook, maybe start rethinking some things and listen to this podcast and start to better understand where you are targeting people and where they're at in the buyer's journey. Are they in the awareness stage? Are they in the consideration stage? Or are they ready to make a decision? And you can optimize your campaigns so that they can perform optimally within those given categories. Great insight there, Pat. I mean, what are some ways that our viewers and listeners can build their audiences, right? So now they've selected their campaign goals. What are some key ways or some really effective ways that they can build audiences that they want to serve their ads to?
So I typically have like a three-part or 3-step way that I look at audience building. The first place I always like to start is with the lowest hanging fruit, right? You can create a lot of custom audiences within Facebook, which is really cool. You know, you can export with a CSV file or an Excel sheet with all of your previous customers, people that have bought your product before, that have opted in for something that you're offering, or, you know, whatever it is. But basically a list of people that are already customers of your brand or your business.
Gotcha.
Right? So once you have this information in there, Facebook gives you an option to now create what's called lookalike audiences. And what it does is that it'll start searching for profiles that will match the list of people you've just uploaded. So you're not going directly to cold audiences. It's already doing the work for you and trying to find profiles that are most likely to match what you're already looking for and what you've already sold previously in the past.
So that's a great way to create a really targeted audience right away, is just to take your existing customer,
Absolutely.
your contact list.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's where if you do have a list, of course, I mean, that's
Sure.
where you definitely want to start. Not everybody has a list. You know, and in that case, you know, if you are going to cold traffic, you definitely need to get, like we were talking about, you need to put the legwork in from the beginning and really understand your customer persona. If you don't put that legwork in, if you don't know, you know, who this person is that you're trying to sell to, I mean, everything that you do from that point is going to be, essentially could be wrong,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
To add on to that too, a great way to build an audience would be to look at your competitors as well, and then you can create awareness ads based around somebody that likes a competitor or somebody else
Interesting.
in your industry as
Gotcha.
well.
Absolutely,
Gotcha.
yeah. He's totally right on that. And you know, and one of the last things I'd like to touch on is a retargeting audience. I mean, that's definitely a little bit farther down the road, but retargeting audiences, it's just making sure that you don't lose the traffic that you've already gained. You know, you can target people that have already landed on a specific landing page on your website, but didn't go to other pages. So that means people have seen your ads. They've looked at your stuff. They're already familiar. It's a little bit more of a warmer audience, and then you can retarget them with a different ad down the road. Now, not just, you know, pages that they've landed on, but you can also have audiences where people have engaged with your page. Maybe they've commented on something, they've shared a post, they've, you know, commented or shared an event that you're putting on. You can engage with those people and send them retargeting audiences. And right now they've rolled out something recently where you can do it based off of video views. So once you use a video ad and you put it out there, you can retarget an audience based off of the amount of length that they've watched that specific video. So what that really tells us is that if somebody watches a video for 75% of the way through, that's a much warmer prospect or a much warmer lead than somebody who's actually watched the first 10%. Right? Somebody who's watched 10%, they don't really care. Maybe they're just scrolling through and it just came through. But if somebody sits and takes the time to watch 75, 95% of your video, you know that's a much warmer person.
Sure, and then you don't just keep sending that person the same ad.
Right.
You change it based on what you know that they've viewed, right?
Sure.
The content that they've consumed, and that way they're in a different spot, right? They're not maybe not they're in the awareness stage anymore. Maybe they're in the consideration spot. So you can create an ad, target it, and create the campaign goal to whatever specific conversion or whatever other goal or outcome that they're looking to accomplish there. So you
Absolutely.
send them a different sort of an ad. So you can sort of change things up. So you don't just keep sending the same ad to the same people that have engaged with it over and over again. Seems like a waste to me.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to see this and they're going to be like, well, I've already seen something like this before. You know, why would we send them the same ad twice? It just doesn't make any sense. So in the second round, you know, on the retargeting side of things, if you send them a different message, maybe we have to incentivize them a little bit to take that next step. You know, there's different things that you can do at the latter part of the campaigns to get the person to move, but the objective still is the same from the beginning: get the person to move down essentially what the funnel is to the ultimate goal, which is conversion and so forth.
That's excellent, man. That's great. Hopefully our viewers and our listeners are able to really kind of take a lot from that. It's great insight. So, I mean, Mikhail, Facebook, makes it easy to boost posts, right? So you make a post of a blog post or an image or an article, something like that you've shared before on your Facebook page. Facebook makes it really easy, and they often suggest, hey, this post performed really well. It got a lot of reactions and shares and comments. You might want to consider putting some ad spend behind it and boosting it. You can boost a post. So, in what situations does it make sense to allocate ad spend towards boosting a post?
Yeah, I actually advise against it all the time just because you're missing out on a lot of targeting, right? It's just like, oh, the best is when you hear the client. It's like, yeah, I boosted like a post for $50 and nothing happened. It's like, well,
What do you expect at that
Facebook
point,
ads don't work. Okay, says the other million people.
Yeah.
But anyways, I actually, regardless of whether or not you're just boosting something for engagement, which is perfectly fine, do that in your ads manager because you're targeting everything that you guys were just talking about. You can actually use against audiences that you've already created and people that are already interested in what you're doing. Your engagements are going to be a lot more real and authentic. But additionally, too, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just like, don't ever use a shotgun approach when all of these tools are really there for you. So I would say don't just boost a post ever. What would you say?
I agree. I mean, boosted posts, it really depends on what your objective. If you're just trying to get some small engagement, yeah, that's totally fine. But if you're using a boosted post to try to use as an ad, I mean, it's very few and far between. Are your conversions going to be something of quality at that point?
So it's like, instead of boosting a post, go into your Facebook ads manager, do a post for engagement because you're only boosting it. You're not going to get a lot of traffic. You're probably just doing it for social proof or likes or something like that. Choose your objective to be engagement, and then you'll get all the likes and all the comments that you want.
Okay, gotcha. So that's pretty interesting. So I mean, that kind of helps us to understand. So we're talking about ad creation here. So Mikhail, how does a company write copy on their ads so that it performs well? What are some things that they should be thinking about considering and executing when they're writing not only the copy and the headlines, but also the taglines for where the headers are in the post itself, and also the copy and the calls to action where you can do learn more or buy now or download. What are some strategies that they can really consider here?
Well, definitely be clear about your messaging. You know what I mean? So as you were saying, there are multiple places where you can actually put ad copy in there. There's like the headline, the website preview you can
Sure.
even change as well, so you can get as many details in there as possible. With that being said, make sure that the headline is concise. If it's a $20 off, or if it's register now, or if it's free this and this and that, make sure that that's in your headline, and then be stylistic in your in the actual like caption part of it, or the text part of it is what Facebook calls it, but don't go over the top. The thing is, I have actually seen, and I'd be interested to hear what you're doing too, if the picture and the video is good enough and your headline is good enough, you'll convert really well. You know what I mean? But it does come down to the visual creative there, because you have to imagine. I can't imagine anybody looking at their phone and being like, "Oh wow, that's really good copy." It's like, that's a great picture. That's something I want. Click. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think you hit it right on the head. If the creative is on point, it's the first thing that they're going to see, right? That's where all the messaging is going to come, like in the first second. If they're interested, then they'll start going into the copy, right? We don't have just text ads anymore. It's not like an AdWords campaign where all you have is this. We have the ability to utilize video, which is speaking, 1,000 words a minute, or however we want to word that. But it's very important that if the creative is good, I mean, there's no other way around it.
So does Facebook favor better creative over others as far as the ads that they're serving?
In a sense, yes, because initially somebody's going to, if somebody interacts with a post, it's probably because it was a decent post, right? And the more interactions it gets, the more that particular ad or post is actually going to get pushed up in feeds.
Sure. So Facebook wants to serve ads that people are reacting positively to.
Exactly.
What happens if someone reacts negatively or asks to not see posts like this or things, or they, some sort of negative feedback happens on an ad?
Well, that person won't get it, but it's not going to change it by that much, to be honest with you. There are so many people on Facebook where if one person doesn't do that, then that's fine. But what I would recommend to everybody is, in their editor, go through, if you're using multiple pictures, go through and see how many clicks did this get? How many clicks did this get? How much traffic did this get? You'll see some that are performing really poorly. In fact, you might see that one variation of your ad is like 20 cents per click, and the next one's $3 per click. Well, figure that out and reverse engineer why didn't people react well to this? A lot of times now it's like text in the picture, or something like that. So,
sure. Patrick, any advice that you have for just running a simple split test? Like when how Facebook gives you an option to run a split test when you're creating a campaign. What's one way that they can that an advertiser, a simple way or a simple variation of a test that they can create?
Well, there's a lot of different things that you can split test. If you're on the ad level, you can test different creatives. One video to another video, a video to an image. You can utilize essentially this. Like if you have the same creative, whether it's a video or an image, you can test headlines, you can test text. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can test buttons, whether you're testing, a learn more button to a shop now, or no button at all. You have those different options to do on the ad level. If you're doing it on an ad set level, you can create individual ad sets. And I've actually found good data doing this before, is if you create different ad sets with different audiences and use the same ad, then you can see which audience is actually moving the needle for what your campaign is trying to do. So there's different ways that you can test. There's a lot of different variables, and there's really no right formula from the beginning. You have to put it out there. You have to see what the data is telling you. The numbers aren't going to lie. And once you have everything set, then you can start to what I call trim the fat from, have it being this wide to getting really honed in and narrow. And that's kind of where you're going to hit your sweet spot. And then once you get there, I mean, everything is different at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So that kind of leads us in. So you're talking about buttons, Patrick. What are things that the advertisers should consider when they're selecting the right call to action to put there? Sometimes one call to action may not be appropriate for a certain type of outcome they're looking for, or even a certain type of ad. Walk us through, that.
So with the buttons alone, I mean, I've tried a lot of different things. I've seen, and I'm really kind of impartial to the buttons. It's kind of tricky, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of things, and it's good because it'll tell the consumer what you want them to do, right? Shop now, buy something, or contact us, call us, or send us a message, right? That's a direct call to action. Like, that's what you want them to do. However, there's kind of like a caveat to it, because if people see these buttons, right, they'll kind of assume like this is automatically an ad, and people get turned off by ads because they don't want to be sold to all the time, unfortunately. It's just one of those things that, like, I've seen different results with having a button and having no button. But like I said, there's not really an answer to that. It's you have to just go out and test it.
Yeah,
And
you have
just,
to test it.
just it's all testing at that point, because I mean, it depends. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, honestly, it was funny. I smiled when you asked the question, because it's like, use common sense and don't overthink it. It's like, if you want somebody to book an appointment, it literally says book an appointment there.
Book now.
Yeah, book now, or whatever it
Right.
might be. Shop now, everything that you're going through. But again, test everything. A lot of, and in some industries, in some markets, somebody may respond to like opting into an email list or something like that, or a free offer, before they want to book an appointment like 1,000 times. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Asking someone to book an appointment when this is the first time they've ever heard of your company,
It's
or
crazy.
It seems inappropriate. It doesn't
Right.
seem
Yeah.
right.
yeah, you
Seems
really
a lot to ask someone.
you got to look at it like dating. I think is the
absolutely.
biggest thing. It's like, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Let's go out. For me, it's like 6 months of hey, what's up, and then like finally they're like, all right, fine, let's go get drinks or something.
Awesome, guys, man, it's incredible. You guys are really knowledgeable on this, and hopefully our viewers and our listeners have really kind of been able to maybe get over the hump, or maybe have a question answered that you're looking for. I know that we've had a lot of feedback from our clients, and a lot of questions from our clients on how to run effective ad campaigns, and hopefully this was able to really kind of clear some things up for you. Great stuff. I mean, this has been the 4th episode of The Production Room, brought to you by Replay, the collective marketing agency. We thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you guys stopping by. My name is Sam Smith, and from all of us here at Replay, keep growing. Don't ever stop growing. Don't ever stop.